Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I want to give a quick tip on how you can study or what's the best way to study for CAPM or PMP exam, because for both exam you have to study the PMBOK, which is the Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's a 600-page book that you need to read to pass the exam. Whether you are writing PMP or CAPM, it doesn't matter. In order to be successful in the exam, you have to at least read that book once, or you can use that as a supplement and buy Rethermal Cash's guide for project management, because that has examples and questions. So if PMBOK is hard to read, then you can definitely buy the Rethermal Cash's book. So I'm going to share my experience when I started studying for CAPM or PMP. I did not take CAPM, I took PMP, and I am in the process of creating a video on how you can register and write the PMP exam even with no project management experience. That video is coming, so stay tuned for that. So in today's video, I'm going to just talk about if you decide to go with just CAPM, or if you are planning to write PMP exam, then the best way to read the book is in the page 61 in 5th edition, which is the book that I have, but you will have similar page in the latest 6th edition as well. But this is on the 3rd chapter. No matter which edition of book you have, this is on the 3rd chapter, and I'm gonna show you right now. So if you look at that page, that's the way the project or the entire book is structured, and it will give you a clear understanding of what you need to understand and how to study the book or how to read the book. And that process will make your study pretty easy, because I didn't know that until I finished reading the book, and it took 6 months for me. But if you understand this basic way of reading this book, how this is structured, and if you're just starting out, I would say start with chapter 3 and with this table, and then you would have a overall idea. It's like watching a trailer of the movie, right? So if you understand what the entire movie is in that 5-minute trailer, it gives you that expectation about the movie. It's the same thing with the PMBOK. By understanding that one table on the page that I'm going to show, it will help you to read the book with connections. You can interrelate things and understand where each piece falls in. Otherwise, the reading can get pretty boring. So let's jump into the book here. All right, the book that I have is the 5th edition, and the latest one that is out there is the PMBOK 6th edition. So it doesn't matter which edition you have, you will have a table like this on the page, not the page, on chapter 3. So if you look at chapter 3, chapter 3 is about integration management, and on that chapter you will find a table where all the knowledge areas and the project management process group is listed. And the way the entire book is written is based on this table here. So as you notice, I'm on chapter 3 here, which is where it starts to design or lay out the structure of the entire project management body of knowledge. And chapter 1 and 2 are kind of introduction to PMBOK, what a project is, what are the basic standards, high order of estimation and all that. So jump onto chapter 3, start from here, and you can always go back and read chapter 1 and 2 later, or just start reading chapter 1 and 2 pretty fast until you reach here, and the meat of the book is from here on. So the way this is structured here is, as you can see here, on number 4 is project integration management, 5 is scope, 6 is time, 7 is cost, quality, and so forth and so on. So the way this is structured is based on these numbers that you see, 4, 5, 6. Those are the chapters, and within each chapter you will see a cross, that's the knowledge. So these are the knowledge areas, and these are the 10 knowledge areas that are defined as part of the PMBOK 5th edition. I don't know if anything got changed in the 6th edition, if the 10 got increased or not, but for time being I'm just explaining how to understand this table and how to study for the exam. So the way this is structured is the entire book is structured based on the different chapters. So as you can see, 4 is project integration, 5 is project scope. So the way the book is written is, it's in chapter 4 you will find everything about integration management. On chapter 5 you will find everything about scope management, and within scope management you can understand what are the different things that you have in scope management that you need to understand and study for the PMP exam. So for example, if I go to the scope management, and let's say plan scope management, so I'm moving to chapter 5. Okay, so when you reach on chapter 5 scope management, this is a knowledge area. Scope management is a knowledge area, and these 5 boxes are the process group within that scope management. So for example, 5.1 says plan scope management. So in order to plan the scope management, how you have to read again this particular chapter and all the chapters here on is that when you get to this chapter, look on this table again, you will see the different process group listed within that knowledge area of scope management. Now you have the process group of plan scope management, and then collect requirements, create work breakdown structure. So it breaks it down even further, different process group within the scope management knowledge area, and each of them have 3 pieces. Number 1 is the input, and obviously the number 3 is output. So you have input and output, but number 2 is basically the tool to process the input and create the output. So you can look in a way that within each process group, for example, plan scope management is a process group. Within that process group, you can see what are the inputs and what are the tools you can use to manage that input to come up with the output. Output you can think of as a deliverable of that piece. For example, if you do a plan scope management, then your output is going to be scope management plan and the requirement management plan. So basically you're doing the planning of scoping the plan here. So obviously the output is going to be scope and requirement management plan coming out of it. Similarly, let's say create work breakdown structure. So when you have within that process group of create work breakdown structure, you have input, which is your scope management plan, your scope estimated, requirement documentation and all that. And then your output is going to be the scope baseline. So obviously you have to have a scope baseline to break down the scope into smaller chunk of items, which is called as work breakdown structure. And the tools that you would use to come up with the output is decomposition and expert judgment. So basically you will ask people who are knowledgeable in that area on how to use this input that you have and break down those input into smaller pieces. So that's a very high level way of and easy way or the best way to study or read the PMBOK, because it will make your life easier, and there is a structure to it now, right? So on the page on the chapter 3, you have the entire book listed down by chapters here, as each chapter represents each knowledge area, and within that knowledge area you have different process group across. And when you go into each of those process group or the knowledge area, for example, scope is a knowledge area, and then you have 1 2 3 4 5 6 process group within that knowledge area, and each process group is defined as input, tools and output. So that's the structure that you're going to find throughout the book from chapter 3 to the end. So that makes it very a easy pattern to read, because each chapter when you get into, you would see similar tables, and then you are actually basically, if you look at the quality, you can see the process group are plan quality, perform quality assurance, and control quality. So again, each of these has input, tools, and output. So that's the basic way to read the book, and I guarantee you, if you understand how to read this book this way, it is much easier to read and progress or make progress. Otherwise you will struggle because you will be stuck, because the PMBOK is written in a way that it's purely theory and very less examples and scenarios. So there is a lot to understand and go through, but it's just time consuming. It's not complex. All right, so as I said, if you understand that concept, the way to read this PMBOK in that particular order, by understanding the different process group within that knowledge area, like the scope or the cost, you will see that there is different process group, and each process group has an input, the tool to process the input, to create the output. So if you understand that basic structure, reading of the book is going to be so much easier and faster. Reading the book with that understanding is going to help you understand much faster, if that makes sense. And without this tip, if you read the book, let's say you're going to take 3 months, but with this structure in mind, and if you start reading the book with this concept, you would take only 1/3 of that time that otherwise you would take. So I really hope that it helped you in some ways if you are preparing for the CAPM or PMP exam. Let me know in the comment section below if you already have completed the PMP exam, and what are the techniques and methods that you followed to study and successfully pass the exam. In my case, I followed this approach, and I think I did not realize until late in the game that this is the best way to read the book. But anyway, I did not follow any YouTube channel at that time to understand how to read it. But based on my experience, I just wanted to share here and provide this guideline for anyone who is preparing for the CAPM or PMP exam. I understand this is a tough exam, and I wish you all the very best. If you would like to create some more videos on how to pass the PMP exam, or if you have any specific question, let me know in the comment section below. I would try to create a video to help answer those questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.